administration and the fallout of the Saudi journalist disappearance. Let's go right now to NBC White House correspondent Geoff Bennett, who is joining me there from his post there at 1600 PA Avenue. All right, what's the latest from there, Geoff, on this?
Hey there, Alex. Well, President Trump threw out something of a qualified warning to Saudi Arabia, telling the kingdom that if they're found to have played a role in the disappearance and presumed murder of Jamal Khashoggi, there would be severe punishment. But in the realm of diplomacy, the administration has carrots and it has sticks. It has rewards and punishments. And President Trump has already removed from the table what perhaps would be the greatest punishment. He said he would not cancel this $110 billion U.S.-Saudi arms deal. The president making the case to reporters yesterday that it would be foolish, that was the word he used, because he says it would harm U.S. workers more than it would Saudi Arabia. As the president said yesterday, we would just be hurting ourselves. Now, Larry Kudlow, who's the president's national economic advisor, he made the Sunday show rounds today, and he was asked about this whole controversy. Here's what he had to say.
With respect to the Khashoggi story, which is a tragedy for Khashoggi, among other people, believe what the president says when he says we will take very tough action if the allegations of Saudi interference prove to be the case. The president has called for a swift and transparent investigation. I think he's talking about this week in particular, so we will see what that brings.
So Kudlow says we will see what that brings. Well, Saudi Arabia's stock market has already taken a hit, and the kingdom is warning of greater action in the event of U.S. sanctions against Saudi Arabia. And this is all coming to a head as Saudi Arabia is set to hold this three-day economic forum known as Davos in the Desert. A number of private sector business leaders have already pulled out, but Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin at the moment still appears set to go. Saudi Arabia, for its part, vehemently denies having any role in the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi, although they've not provided any explanation as to what happened to him. Alex.
Okay, Geoff Bennett, thank you very much from the White House. All right, so join me once again, Jay and Laura. The missing journalist's fiancee wrote an op-ed, and this was an obituary style, I should say, in the New York Times. And here's what she writes in part. In recent days, I saw reports about President Trump wanting to invite me to the White House. If he makes a genuine contribution to the efforts to reveal what happened inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul that day, I will consider accepting his invitation. Is it in the U.S. interest, Jay, to find out what happened inside that consulate, and if so, to what degree?
Alex, absolutely. I mean, this is a question of not only what happened to a Washington Post columnist, but it's about promoting human rights, about promoting freedom of the press around the world, and protecting those who are actively doing that job. And the idea that it's somehow okay to invite a journalist with an American publication to a consulate and then an official capacity and then have him killed in that consulate is just shocking that is considered okay, and that they would feel so emboldened in their relationship with the United States that they could do this and not have any repercussions.
Yeah, it's rather extraordinary, the global outrage over all this. Final thoughts from you, Laura, on all this?
Yeah, I mean, it would be just like Trump to make this about money, to say, well, we need these jobs. I know that Saudi Arabia has spent billions of dollars on an influence campaign and a lobbying campaign in the United States to convince people and convince the American government that we rely on them. In fact, that's not true. It's the other way around. And I think Trump would be making a huge mistake to cozy up to this country, as he has been doing, after they've openly murdered a U.S. journalist. And they've been doing this for years. They've been jailing bloggers, dissidents in their own country. And it's absolutely unacceptable and should be condemned by the United States.
Laura Bassett, Jay Newton, Small Ladies, thank you so much. Always good to speak with you both.
Thank you.
Coming up next, the wild, wild West Wing chaos, the blurred lines of reality.